Hey, it's Ham Nation time, and we're going to tell you all about the Route 66 on the air special event that is going on as this show goes live. Also, we're going to tell you about a cool new antenna from the folks at RadioWavz, and we're going to remember September 11th with reverence for the heroes, as it should be. And we hope you'll stick around for this episode of Ham Nation.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. And by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. Most in-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 419 for September 11th, 2019. Route 66, 2019.
Hi, everybody. It's Bob Heil, K9EID, and welcome to Ham Nation. Boy, we got some stuff for you tonight. Good stuff. And we hope that you'll stick around for the end because Amanda's going to be here. We'll talk about what you are talking about. So let's see what goes there. But first of all, Gordo, how are you doing down there in good old Costa Mesa? You doing okay?
We're doing fine. We're cooling off a little bit because we did the Route 66 on the air, not right on the route, but real close, and it was only 115 degrees. So we're cooling off today.
Oh, boy. That's crazy. Don, how are you doing? You're not 115, are you?
No. We've actually been a little bit cooler. We've been hovering right around 98 or 97 here lately. I think we're down to like 94 today. It was not too bad. And currently we are 78 degrees.
Right.
80 degrees down here in South Mississippi, which isn't bad. I want to say hello to all of our WTWW shortwave listeners. If you got something that you'd like to share with them, you can do that at email at wtwww.us. And of course, it's a really cool thing. That shortwave station takes online requests. Go to wtwww.us, click on that request tab, and it's almost instant. It's amazing how that works. And Ted Randall and the guys have got that stuff figured out. So support our friends over at WTWW because they support us. And hello to all the WTWW listeners. Got some stuff from Newsline a little bit later on. Dr. T is taking the night off, and we're going to tell you about the Peoria Superfest. And for some odd reason, they've invited me up there in a couple of weeks, and so we'll talk about that a little bit later on, Bob.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, we'll be back. Well, I'm very proud of my guests tonight here at First. They're from our Springfield, Missouri club, and they have really got things rocking and rolling. And since they're on Route 66, well, hey, this is the big deal. So we're very excited that they're joining us. So we have Patty, and we have Jordan, and we have Steve. And Jordan, that your shop is, I'm so jealous. Look at this, I'm telling you. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, though, how Route 66 is doing, and really a little bit about what the club is doing. It's all yours for a little.
Well, we appreciate having us on here. We've been doing a lot of stuff with the club lately. Route 66 on the air obviously has taken off in a huge way. We've been out at the Gay Parita station here just on the old Route 66. We spent all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, doing contacts and stuff like that. There got just over 300 contacts logged in for Whiskey 6 Romeo. And, of course, we came in here and started working from home. And, man, it's just been a big year all around. We're looking to get up there and get more contacts than we ever have and be able to teach more people about what Route 66 on the air is and what we're doing on the radio. So it's been fantastic. But as you mentioned, the club also has been doing a lot of stuff too. So not only Route 66 on the air, which Steve has head up with Patty here, but we've been doing a lot of stuff within the club. obviously, we talked earlier about doing tech days. We do every quarter here with the tools of destruction behind us on there. We get all the club members and people from Southwest Missouri area here and kind of teach them how to take the radios apart, what they can do, teach them about the component level stuff and all that. So it's been very exciting. That's just been a through the roof event. In fact, local news was here for the first one, and it's taken off in a big way. So we've been doing a lot of stuff. Field day was good this year, a little hot, but overall, Southwest Missouri Amateur Radio Club is really getting up in there and really putting on a lot of stuff. It's making those dues that the members pay really worth it for all the activities that we're doing. So it's very exciting. You can see our website up there. It's a complete redo from what it used to be. We had a good one up, had a lot of information on it, but people wanted more. They wanted more information. They wanted it easier to get to and better formatting. So we redid the whole thing. You've got information. That's a picture from Tech Day up there. You can see we've got a bunch of stuff on the bench there. People come out with their chairs, and that's just the little nook area where we really do some of the work up there. There's probably another 20 people behind that. So it's a big event for an oversized 2-car garage, but we make it work. So
well, that's really good to hear that you guys and gals are making some things happen there and from the club. You have some pictures of the Route 66 day. Let's run those, Vic, and let them tell us what's going on here. They're fabulous pictures.
Yeah, this is the old Route 66 road in front of the Gay Peoria Sinclair station, and it is in the Springfield area, so it's just west of Springfield, and this is the actual old route, and that's on the road up front. It's part of the deal. We were in this pavilion, and George and Barbara were really generous with us. They really gave us a lot of things, a lot of help. This is also in the pavilion, that is Franklin and Tom, and they're working the Route 66 station. This is Russ and Cheryl, and Russ is actually responsible for Linux and the Ham Shack podcast. So that's his partner there that's helping out with logging, and they made a bunch of nice contacts for us. And we also had some visitors on the route, which were actually travelers from Michigan. They were working the Route 66 on the air mobile, and that is Pat. Let me get their call signs so I can tell you correctly. Pat, W8PMR, and Wendy, KD8IWB. And they both made some contacts for us. I think they were really surprised that we would offer, but hey, they were there and they weren't doing so well on mobile, so we gave them a chance to get on and find out what a real pileup's all about. And there's Jordan and Franklin again, and I think we said somewhere in the background you see a little brown thing. That's the base of our antenna. We had a vertical up, which worked very well for the event, and luckily we only had temperatures in the mid 90s. We didn't actually get to 100.
Oh, good.
So, and there's this thing. Yeah. There were about 300 visitors that rolled through on motorcycles at various times during the day. There were Germans, there were Swedish people, there were Koreans. There was a guy from Switzerland, and they were all gung-ho for Route 66. We only met one traveling ham operator, and unfortunately his Spanish and my English didn't mix very well, but we did call something. He knew the phonetics, so we were good there.
Those are just such great things, and that station is really cool. Now, let me ask you this, Steve. Can you go in there and get gas for 15 cents?
No, and in fact, there's down the road about a mile and a half, there's another station, and they're also in the gas war, and they are at 12 cents. So the Gay Peoria station is losing the war.
Well, we've got some things that you'll be wanting to get by working W6R. This is one of the the QSLs, and that's an actual Route 66 motel, and it's beautiful. It's they've kept it up all these decades, and the Rest Haven Court is it's quite a thing in Springfield. So if you ever get to Springfield, you'll want to stay here. There are several others. This is the other one. Elvis stayed at this one. I think you took that picture, I think, Steve. But
yeah. That's it. Real Haven, Best Western at St. Louis Street and Glenstone in Springfield. Right
in the heart of it. They have 255 Fords that sit out there all the time. So those are the QSL cards that you will get. All that information is on the QRZ. Just put W6R, and you'll have all of the information of where to send your contact for a QSL card. And we're very thrilled that the SMRC Club takes care of all that. Now, there are the frequencies that everybody's kind of working around, but they're not necessarily stuck there because people move around because they fill them up. But most of the 66s, you'll notice there's 3866 and there's 7266 and so on. But it is just one of the most fun things in amateur radio. I've been working it for years, and when I finally moved to Springfield and we weren't on the route, I said, what are you guys talking about? This is where Route 66 was born, right here. And we can take you to the building where the telegraph was signed. But anyway, it's been fun. They finally find a spot for us, and everybody in the club really gets involved here. So I thank you so very much for doing all this, Patty and Steve and Jordan. And we'll have to have you come back after all of it and give us some totals and see what's going on. You're going to be on right after the show, though. We can catch you somewhere.
Yeah, we're going to most likely be on 80 meters, 3866 or plus or minus 10 kilohertz there. So absolutely, if you want to catch W6R, get on. We're going to be on 80 meters tonight. We're going to be working all through the week and the weekend. If you have any information about that or any of the other Route 66 stuff here in Springfield, go to our website, smarc.org, smart.org. Over there on the tab, I forgot what the tab is called, up at the top of there. Anyway, you'll see Route 66 on the air. There's a lot of good information. There you go, Resources tab. Under the Resources tab, there's a whole heading there. It's got a lot of the history of what's going on. And a nice new feature we just added today is now you can see all the clubs along the Route 66 stations, all the W6 stations working, including who they are, where they're from, a link to their website, and any local repeaters that they may have if you want to try to catch and work a W6 station right there on 2 meters or 440.
That was a request by Wendy, who wanted, because they were hams who were actually traveling the route, they wanted a list of repeaters of the sponsoring clubs. And so that was what we came up with. So,
well, job well done, just well done. Thanks a lot, guys and gals. I'll be back next week, and I'll come down and we'll see what we can do and burn a little solder and whatever. I might have a broken radio. So thanks so much for doing this and setting this up. And we'll have you back and let us know how you did in all of this. Thanks very much, 7-3 to each of you and everybody in the club there.
Thank you, 73, Bob.
So there you go, Gordo. Does it get any better? I mean, that you and I continually talk about clubs trying to be active, and I've watched the progress of this club just in the years that I've lived there, and they have really ramped that club up. So, what can I say, Gordo? You and I got to be happy when we see these kind of stories, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right, Bob. In fact, our local California chapter of the Family Motor Coach Association, that's the big RVs, the FMCA group, we wanted to do a little bit of Route 66 as well. And we needed a nice, quiet spot, Bob, to operate, in that I also needed to monitor U.S. Coast Guard frequencies because the hurricane was just inching its way up the coast. So we decided ahead of time that it would be Joshua Tree, not realizing that Joshua Tree, which is near Palm Springs, shared that same weather with Palm Springs getting up to 115 degrees. So, Victor, if you don't mind, this was our Route 66 setup, and that's Jody and Tracy's vehicle just to the right of our comm van that Susie and Gordo were doing. And notice his big, tall vertical. This was a terrific performance antenna on both 75 as well as 40 and 20 meters for working Route 66 stations. And he did a bunch. That's an SGC 230 long wire tuner. It's got the built-in balun that switches everything over to a long wire. And the long wire was that green post. The post itself is not conductive, but the wire inside of it is. And Tracy says there's very little tuning necessary on some of the bands because the antenna is just about that long. So Tracy made sure that all of the other FMCA RVers saw what we were doing, and they got a big kick out of it. In fact, we had one engineer saying, I want to become a ham because of all the fun that you're having along Route 66 without actually having to drive just a few miles away. Now, this is Kathy and Carl's unit, WU6D, and Kathy and Carl, they represent the American Radio Relay League in our local section, and he's taken a high Q antenna aimed at about 45 degrees aft. But what you can't see on the top is he's got a non-conductive line that pulls the whip almost straight up. And it's a big, tall whip. And it was a great performer as well. Probably not quite as strong as Tracy's much longer antenna down on 40 and 75. Anytime you're shorter than a quarter wave, you've got to do inductive loading, and you lose a few watts. But he was working Route 66 stations all the way out to the Chicago area. So plenty of activity there. Well, Gary works very hard for both microwave as well as VHF, UHF, weak signal stuff, as well as amateur television. And Gary brought his toy hauler, and he says, you want to hear a loud signal to Route 66 ops? So we said, yeah, and we didn't quite know what was on top of his toy hauler, but he started undoing them, and then he started setting things up, and we had an idea that it looked like a stepper IR, and the step IR is a, well, you'll see. Right now he's got the left side elements on. And remember, he is part of the Amateur Television Network. And thanks to Gary, as well as Mike Collis and Roland and a whole bunch of others across the country, they came up with great questions for the new extra class question pool that goes into effect next July, all about amateur television. Anyway, he's playing with the Step IR, getting everything in there. And it was amazing that each of his setups there only took just a minute or two to get everything nestled in there correctly. Once he got that side on, that rests on the top of his toy hauler, as well as the other two elements, he then spins it around. He's not dogged down the rotator yet. And now you can see off of his right foot, he's got two elements ready to slip right in. And there's no major deal. Once they're in place, he's got to do a quick test to make sure everything is okay. There he's got all the elements on the Step IR. And again, this is 40 through 10, and everything happens inside those lightweight fiberglass elements. Well, as any good ham will do, we wanted to do a quick SWR sweep and a test, and everything was looking good. And so we looked at it, and we said, now, Gary, you going to be NVIS, or are you going to get that thing in the air? And, oh, no, he's not got a big hand crank winch, pneumatic, only about 30 pounds into that little Harbor Freight machine. and this telescopic pneumatic mast that's normally for TV stations. And by the way, he uses that for his ATN work as well as his relay of the San Bernardino Microwave Society. Up it went, and he didn't have to put a ton of air pressure to get it in there. And best of all, once it went into position, we didn't hear any air leaking out, and he didn't need to do a thing. So immediately, the ladies that keep us all rolling in 115-degree heat, that's Marilyn W6MCJ on the left, Jody, Tracy's wife, WA6JL in the center, and that's D, N6DEE with MTARA. They're marveling at this great antenna that would do 40 meters, 30, 20, well, you just name it. He's got the tuning, and away it went. So I was really pleased to see it up and playing, but I was more interested to see what he had on the inside of his toy hauler. And, yep, there it is. Two of the HF ICOM as well as the VHF UHF ICOM, and they were absolutely humming. When Gary came on the air on, I believe, 40 meters, my station took the AGC about a minute to recover. Tracy is still looking for his AGC, but he had a monster signal. And, you know, at Quartz Fest that we're going to be doing in January, we're used to it. And that's where operators will say, I'm going to be on 40 for the next half hour, so other ops will go to 20 or 15. And that's what we did there in working the Route 66 operators. So for those of you that were a part of the Route 66 that goes all the way until this weekend, keep up the great work and know that there are some FMCA motorhomers out there that sure want to work you, and we're going to be doing more operating, and there will probably get more hams joining up. Let's see all the fun that we have in the RV. Let us all remember 9/11, and our hearts go out to those that had lost their lives and the families and so on, and those stricken by the illnesses after 9/11, but we'll never forget. Never, ever. 18 years and still very in our hearts, all those personnel. So that's my story, and I believe I'm going over to either George or Don. My memory is short, so we'll find out. So stand by. Here comes either Don or George.
Well,
George!
Hi, Gordo. I guess I'm up. My memory is short, too, so I wasn't sure, but I was sitting here ready. Looks like you guys are having a great time with Route 66. Unfortunately, we can't do that down here. We don't have a Route 66. So, Don, I guess we're going to have to do an Interstate 55 or a Highway 51 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway.
We ought to do. Yeah. We ought to activate the crossroads. That's what we ought to do.
Yeah.
We're the birthplace of the blues. That's what we ought to do, is activate the crossroads.
Yes, exactly. We just don't want to be there right at midnight, though.
No. We don't want to see the guy that. No, we don't want to sell our souls to the devil like Robert Johnson did. That's for sure.
No, not for DX or nope. Anything. Anyway, we'll be back in just a moment because I've got a little video for us tonight that I shot when I was over at Huntsville Ham Fest a few weeks ago of a really interesting antenna. But first, a message from ICOM.
Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contest season with one of these ICOMs today. IC7610, the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Or get the IC7300, changing the way entry-level HF is designed This high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Keep your competitive edge with faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. ICOM's IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios.
And ICOM invites you to enter weekly after each episode of Ham Nation and register for some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats at ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation. When you do, you'll automatically be registered for the grand prize drawing each month of a new radio. And for September, that's going to be the ICOM ID5100A dual band, dual watch mobile with built-in GPS, touchscreen operation, DV-DV dual watch, DV-FM repeater list function, SD memory card slot for voice and data storage. There's an available UT133 Bluetooth module, and you can download free Bluetooth or Android apps. So go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation after this and each episode each week and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And that ID5100 is a nice rig. I got one for my pickup a few months back. My other radio had died after 20 years. I really like it. Super nice radio. Doesn't matter if you're going to do D-Star or analog, either one. It's right there. Big display right up in your face and easy to operate. So thanks, ICOM, for that contest. And, you know, you should go register tonight after the show, ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation, because somebody's going to win it. Might as well be you. Well, when I was at Huntsville a few weeks ago here, I saw, of course, Bob and Don and all kinds of people there. We had a great time. One of the guys I saw was someone we run across several times a year, and you probably see him if you've been to any of the larger ham fests. Emmett Hohensee with RadioWavz. He was there this year, and he had a new antenna I had not seen before. It's a type of antenna I'm familiar with, and I was glad to see that someone's got them out there and is making them again because they're really good. So let's take a look at that. We're at RadioWavz with Emmett Hohensee. Emmett, it is good to see you again.
It's good seeing you again, young man. It's a good day today.
It is a good day. Boy, what a large ham fest here.
I've been very impressed with the turnout this year. Normally it's been pretty dead about 2 or 3 o'clock, but we still got people coming through, which is really good.
I heard rumors that maybe this is the most attended year yet.
I can believe it, because I remember 10 years ago it was pretty crowded, and it hasn't been like that until just now.
Yeah, there's really a lot of people in here. And they've been coming to see what's going on with RadioWavz, and you've got new stuff going on, I understand.
Yes, we do. We've got a couple new products. Obviously, our quad beam antennas for 2-meter 440 and also 220. We also make a 6-meter version. They're great as far as, like, if you want to do satellite communications. Also, if you want to do some maybe not moon bounce. We've got one person who's doing an array of our 440 quads to do exactly that. And then also point-to-point backhaul for repeaters and so on, which it's been exciting. It's been fun building a quad system.
And so these quads are a little bit different looking than your Yagi antennas. And I'll just ask you, I have actually used a quad before. That was my first 2-meter antenna. Mm-hmm. There's a good reason for using these. Why don't you tell us what that is?
Well, one of the big reasons on a quad, unlike a dipole, is the quad is a full loop antenna, so it's a lot quieter than your typical dipole antenna. Also with the quad, you have a lot more gain And in times, based on how you set the antenna up, you have what's called a better front-to-back ratio, which makes a big difference. If you got the back side of the antenna somewhere and you got someone transmitting behind the antenna versus people who are talking in front of the antenna. And that front-to-back makes a big difference as far as nulling that out and giving you the signal strength that you want in the direction that you want it.
And so this is all fiberglass?
Yeah, it's solid fiberglass with the 6 mil UV coating on it. The components that hold the fiberglass pieces in place are made out of let's call it a seaboard material, which is designed for, heavy weather, out in the ocean, cold weather, UV, and it's UV treated and so on. It's all cut on a CNC machine, and it takes a little bit of work to put one together. But as you can see, all the elements line up really nice, and it gives you a really good gain. This antenna has about a 13 dB forward gain with a 21 to 30 dB front-to-back ratio.
Wow. Yeah, it really makes a difference. Say, if you're in a location where the big thing I noticed between this and just my regular omnidirectional antenna is when I ran the quad, if there's more than one repeater on that frequency, I can just pick out whichever one I want with the quad.
Yep, you can just point it at the repeater that you want, and then typically you'll get it because it's narrow enough that you're not going to be tripping the repeater that's off at 45 degrees. You're only going to be getting the repeaters and so on in front. This is also really good, especially if you're doing like single sideband on 2 meters and 440. You'd be surprised. I have talked to people in Chicago. We're in St. Louis, and I've been able to have QSOs with people in Chicago on 2 meters single sideband, which is amazing to me, especially as an RF engineer. And I think line of sight, okay, but for whatever reason, when you go single sideband, you get a little bit more out of it than you would have normally.
Wow. So how do you recommend mounting these? I mean, do you put the feed point at the top or at the side or what?
It depends on the polarization. If it's horizontal, you want to go top. Vertical, you go off to the side. So you can change your polarization based on, the rotation of the antenna.
Cool. What else can you tell us about it? I see you've got some here that are not assembled yet.
It's designed to work with both 2 meters and 440 at the same time. People who like to do satellite communications, or they want to do 2 meter or 440 with phasing or however you want to work it out. You'll have a 2 meter element or a 440 element. We try to mark things quite clearly so what element goes where and so on.
Wow, and that is.
Yeah, it's a seaboard material, and it's a pretty heavy-duty plastic, and it's all cut out on a CNC machine.
Okay, so does it come marked so
Yes.
that these things, you know exactly where they should be spaced?
Yes, it does.
Cool. So how long would it take me to put one of these together?
About 15 minutes at the max.
And
From the very first time you do it, it'll probably take you about 30. But after that, once you know how everything goes together, it'll take you about 15 minutes max. And we are working on a portable version as well.
that's what I was going to ask. This looks like it would lend itself well to a portable.
Oh, yeah. For instance, on the 440, this is small enough that once you put it together, you just put it in the back of the car. Yeah. And you're good to go. And if you need to do satellite work, I have one customer who's setting it up to where he has 4 of these, and 2 of them are set up horizontal, 2 of them are set up vertically, and then we've got them all phased together.
That's neat. And even the 2 meter version is not huge.
Oh no, the 2 meter version is only 46 inches long, and even then it could actually be shorter. We've got it set up to where you can mount this piece right here, the mount itself on the back. And as you can see, it's not really that heavy. I can just, plunk it straight out, and you can rotate it and so on, like for people who like to do satcoms. And in some cases, you don't even have to rotate it because it's a loop. Yeah. So, phasing is a little bit different than, on a loop than it is on a dipole.
So how many elements do these come configured with?
Okay, the The 440 comes with 7 elements, and the 2 meter comes with 4. Okay. And then the 220 comes with 5. Because what we're trying to do is build everything to fit within like 48 inches. So anything under 4 feet works great. And we have made a couple that are a lot longer, but understand that it's a bigger everything. So, but you know, once you skip beyond this point, for instance, on the 7 elements that you have on the 440, it takes a lot more to get those extra dBs out of it. So you're better off just either, you know, getting another element, another unit, phasing them together, you know, to get that augmented gain, or do something different. That's the radiation pattern there. So you can see it's not super tight like a laser beam, but it's close, which is what we want. And then you saw that back end, that back lobe. That's beautiful, you know, as far as the front to back ratio is concerned, because you don't want to pick up stuff in the back. Cuts back on the noise. We only want to talk to stuff in front of us.
Exactly. So you're not wasting any of that signal. You're putting it right where you want it.
And it's efficient, too, and that's what makes it really nice. Unlike a lot of the dipoles that you see today where they're using the gamma matches, you lose a lot of efficiency with the gamma match and the other ways of matching it versus, you know, something like a simple loop that is resonant. And then the matching is just something simple like you put the coax on, and then we also have a common mode choke that goes on it that takes care of the rest.
Cool. Well, that's really neat, and I'm going to look forward to seeing some of these out in the field and talking to people using them.
Oh, you will. And then one of the things we are doing is we're doing some satellite work with it. Hopefully in the future you'll be able to see on MCOM-1 our sat system that we're going to have set up. And we'll be using the ICOM 9700.
Cool. All right. Thanks for talking with us, Emmett.
All right. Well, thank you very much, George. And you have a great one.
All right. 7-3.
7-3, sir.
It's always great to visit with Emmett at the Ham Fest, because you never know what he's going to have new there. And I've got to say, just about every time he's got a new design that he's displaying there. And in those quads, personal experience, like I said, that was my first 2-meter antenna. It worked great. I couldn't say enough good things about it. Of course, there's a lot of good 2-meter antennas out there, but this one, I don't know. It was my first experience, and I lived in a noisy location, and that antenna was, you know, like Emmett said, it was quiet. Well, something I want to mention, and that is this time every year, we're celebrating a new birthday at Amateur Logic. This year, October 15th, will be 14 years. And to do that, we always call our friends at ICOM and ask them to, you know, hey, how about let's give away a radio to celebrate our anniversary? And they usually always say yes. And, well, actually, they have always said yes every time I've asked them that. And Ray said yes again this year. So I have a great package here. It's similar to what we gave away last year. A couple of changes on it, though. I have the ICOM 7300. You're all familiar with that one. Great SDR. ICOM's first entry into that field, and really great radio. You know, it's probably the most popular radio out there right now for HF in the entry-level category. And, you know, they say entry-level because the price is really good on those things now. It has dropped some. But it's a great radio as well with the spectrum scope on it. You know, it's an SDR, so it's got everything that basically you could want in a radio, way ahead of what we used to think of as your first radio. So great radio there. Got a few other things to go with it as well. I've got an MFJ cobweb antenna. I've used this at field day every year for the last several years. It's a great antenna. Doesn't take a lot of room. It's available in like 20 meters through 10-meter version, or a 40-meter through 10-meter version. Covers all the bands in between there. Easy to set up. I've got to say it tuned real well and has held its tune well, because I disassemble it every year and then bring it back out for field operation, and it's been great for that. I've also got MFJ 4230 DMP 12-volt 30-amp power supply. This one is my personal one here, but I've got one coming that'll be here in a few days, and we'll be powering that with it. It makes a great power supply for, well, especially portable operations. I use this at field day every year. It's lightweight and, 30 amps, so that'll cover you on that just fine. And of course, you're going to want a microphone to go with that rig. And what better mic than, say, maybe a Heil mic. And I just happen to have the new Heil ICM. I believe it's BG is the designator on it. It's black and gold. So that's a new version of that. It's the same basic microphone, but in new package there, a little more modern look. And I think you'll enjoy this when you plug it into your ICOM rig. It's specially designed for ICOM radios because it's got the preamp that you want and great microphone, push-to-talk button on it. So Heil ICM, you're going to want that with the rig. 100 foot of coax because you're going to want to hook that antenna to the radio. It works best that way. And I've got something extra here. It's an MFJ 148RC. You've seen me show these before. This is a radio control clock. It's 12 or 24-hour display. It's got 2 zones on it. So I usually put mine for Central Time and UTC because that's really what you want to know is your time zone and what the UTC time is. It's also got a built-in 10-minute ID timer. You just tap a button there, and it'll signal you every 10 minutes to let you know, hey, it's time to ID again. And, of course, the winner, well, they may not be a ham yet, or they may want to upgrade their license class. And if you're going to study for your exam, well, here's what you need to do it right here. One of Gordo's amateur radio study guides. We're going to give you the choice of a technician, a general class, or an extra class manual there to help you license and get upgraded. Whatever you want to do there. If you're already an extra, well, you might want to get a technician or a general for one of your friends and encourage them to get licensed or upgrade. So more details on this, if you want to learn about it, you need to go to amateurlogic.tv/contest. There'll be all the contest information there. What we're basically going to do is have you send an email to contest 2019 at Amateur Logic with specific information. So you do want to visit that website and get all the details there. You got to be a licensed U.S. or Canadian amateur radio operator, but all the details are available right there. So go check it out, amateurlogic.tv/contest. And we thank ICOM, MFJ, Heil Sound, and, of course, Gordo and the W5YI group for making this contest possible. All right, that's it for me. So usually this time of the show, we bring in Don because he knows all about what's going on in ham radio news.
You know, I kind of do, just a little bit. Hey, great piece on Emmett and those cubicle quads, and I'm with you. One of the first antennas I ever had as a brand new ham was I believe it was a 4-element cubicle quad on 2 meters, and we had just bought our property here in Mississippi. It was a weekend place, and I was able to hit repeaters back in New Orleans 50 miles away with that antenna up on top of, I think, a 20 or 30-foot Radio Shack push-up pole by just plugging my 5-watt Yaesu HT into it, and I could hit any repeater back in New Orleans that I wanted with that cubicle quad. And so cool that Emmett's making those. Emmett's a great guy. Emmett and Rochelle. RadioWavz is a great company, and they happen to be the corporate sponsors of the Young Ham of the Year Award from Amateur Radio Newsline. So we certainly appreciate their friendship, both personally and with the corporate sponsorship, and helping us out with that as well for what we do at Amateur Radio Newsline. Just love those guys to death. They've become such good friends. And speaking of Amateur Radio Newsline, why don't I go ahead and get caught up on the news of the week with Amateur Radio Newsline?
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2184, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. Our top story this week is Hurricane Dorian. As Newsline went to production, the Atlantic storm was blasting towards Florida and the Carolinas in the United States, with wind speeds of more than 105 miles per hour after having battered the Caribbean. Newsline anchor Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, has more.
Bobby Graves, KB5 HAV, manager of the Hurricane Watch Net, reported that the net was in continuous operation since Saturday, the 31st of August, and had open-ended plans to remain active on 14.325 megahertz and 7.268 megahertz. He said the net planned to provide backup communications for the Red Cross, storm shelters, and government agencies as needed. He said that the net would also provide Federal Emergency Management Agency officials at the National Hurricane Center with information about damages caused by the storm. With the National Hurricane Center amateur radio station WX4NHC activating, the Voice over IP Hurricane Net was seeking reports from hams in areas affected by Dorian. Dorian made its trip north, having already left a devastated Caribbean in its wake, leaving what Prime Minister Hubert Minnis called a historic tragedy that left at least 20 dead.
Radio operators and space enthusiasts in the United Arab Emirates have their eyes on the sky.
The main and backup crews completed their 2 days of final tests on the 30th of August just outside Moscow in preparation for their trip to the International Space Station on the 25th of September. The main crew includes Hassan al-Mansouri, the first Emirati astronaut, who, with the help of the Emirates Amateur Radio Society, will communicate over radio from the ISS to the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center in Dubai. The mission is designed to last until October the 4th for al-Mansouri, a 36-year-old military pilot. He was selected in April for the mission, which will include experiments that study how the human body responds to microgravity, as well as experiments done in conjunction with 16 schools across the United Arab Emirates. You can keep tabs on the progress of al-Mansouri and his fellow astronauts by following the Twitter account at MBR Space Center. That's center spelt with an R-E. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
If you're looking for a way to honor generations of American military heroes, prisoners of war, and those missing in action, there's a special event coming up that will give you the opportunity.
National POW MIA Recognition Day came into being in 1979 when Congress and the U.S. President declared it a national day to remember those in the military who never returned home from service. 11 years ago, amateur radio operators stepped in and took the honor further, activating the first special event station keeping with the theme of the day, which this year falls on September 20th. The station, K4MIA/8, and a number of its sister stations will be on the air on 40 meters. Contacts can also be made on low Earth orbit satellites and in digital modes. QSL cards will be made available to those who have had valid contacts, but requests must include a stamped self-addressed envelope. The website military.com notes that a Congressional Record Service report counts 130,201 World War II service members who were put in prison. Of those, 14,072 died. 7,140 service members were in prisons during the Korean War, and 2,701 of them died. There are other conflicts, of course, and other figures. The K4MIA/8 special event honors them all. Be listening. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Dameron, N8TMW.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. All right, we have nothing from Dr. T tonight. Her schedule was so full that she did not have a chance to get us anything. So make sure you follow her on Twitter at Tamitha Scove, and you can also check her out at spaceweatherwoman.com. But the Twitter feed is absolutely the best, just the best. Hey, in a couple of weeks, in fact, the same time that the POW MIA special event is going on, I'm going to be at a Hamfest up in Peoria, Illinois. They've invited me up there, and
we're going to go up there to the Peoria Superfest. It's the 100th anniversary of the club that's putting the Peoria Superfest on up there. And Drew Vreba, this current Young Ham of the Year, is going to be up there as well. And Paul Brown, WD9 GCO, who is a Newsline staffer that you hear quite often. You hear his voice quite often on Amateur Radio Newsline. He's going to be up there as well. And Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, is going to be doing a great kit build. And we'll be talking, I believe it's Saturday morning at 10:30 on the 21st, talking about Newsline and Ham Nation and Young Ham of the Year and all kinds of stuff. And the stuff that we don't know, of course, we'll make up as we go along. But if you're going to be in the Peoria, Illinois area on the 21st, we certainly hope to see you up there. So thanks again to the Peoria folks for inviting me up there. Let's talk about some stuff with DX Engineering. You know, we talked about, I mentioned that I was able to go back on my cubicle quad from 50 miles away and hit New Orleans repeaters on an HT with that antenna. Well, if you're thinking about maybe you want to do that, but you want to upgrade your HT or maybe add another HT to your transceiver collection, DX Engineering has all of the latest handhelds that put incredible radio performance into the palm of your hand. Here are 3 of many that they carry to choose from. Great for portable ops is ICOM's IC-V86 VHF FM HT. Delivers more audio, more RF power, greater coverage, and increased battery capacity in a mil-standard portable 2-meter HT. The IC-V86's 1,500 milliwatts of audio power and improved speaker let you easily hear incoming signals in loud, noisy environments, especially in an MCOM or public service arena. Also features expanded transmit coverage with 7 watts of RF output power. I probably could have gotten to Baton Rouge if I'd have had 7 watts on that quad. The unit has a huge battery, too. 2,250 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery pack. Gives you longer uninterrupted operation. Also comes with 200 memory channels, 6 scan edge channels, and integrated Vox function. Going over to brand Y, the Yaesu FT3DR is a 2-meter, 70-centimeter dual-band digital HT, providing reliable 5 watts of RF output power and a lightweight design. Enjoy loud and clear analog FM and digital C4 FM voice quality with 700 milliwatts of audio power. 2 independent receivers support true dual-band operation. That's important if you're going to be doing satellite work. Monitor up to 79 channels centered on the current VFO frequency in real time thanks to built-in Bluetooth. You can go hands-free with the optional Yaesu Bluetooth headset. Kenwood's THD74A does have APRS built into it. It's a VHF UHF tri-band, and it's a great option if you're a backpacker, a camper, or you're out riding your bicycle. It gives impressive transmit capabilities on 2 meters, 220 and 70 centimeters. Also, this Kenwood radio works with both D-Star and APRS simultaneously. You can set it up to receive automatic position and weather information. Has true multi-band, multi-mode operation with dual frequency reception and a really great-looking color display. Visit dxengineering.com for the complete lineup of HTs from ICOM, Yaesu, Kenwood, Alinco, and Bridgecom. DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. Most orders placed by 10 p.m. Eastern. And if they're in stock, we'll be on a truck headed your way tonight. With proven products and expert advice, DX Engineering is helping you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com/hamnation. And we, of course, thank DX Engineering for their support of Ham Nation. We also really appreciate Amanda. Amanda handles our chat room, and she just brightens the whole show up when she comes on. And so, Amanda, tell us what's going on in the chat room tonight. I'm sure there's some interesting stuff.
There is some interesting stuff. I have a few mentions, comments. Let's go over it. So the first one was WZ1L. Sorry about that, Bill. He wanted to let Gordo know that this Saturday at the Boxborough Convention, there were 11 new technicians and 4 of them had Gordo's books. So congrats, you guys. Can't wait for you all to make your first contacts. That's just awesome when there's so many enthused. And this has kind of been a trend lately. I'm just seeing more and more people are getting their license. I don't know what we're doing right, but we're doing it. So keep on your clubs, keep doing it, get these people licensed, get them involved, get them to really want to talk on the radio. And Gordo has the best tips on that, don't you, Gordo? Or is Gordo here? Gordo's not here.
Gordo's not here.
Okay. Let's strike that.
But yes, he
All
does.
Right.
Yes, he does.
He does. Yes. I can tell you.
All right. The other thing is the High Plains Roundup is coming up this weekend. It's kind of this cool, laid-back ham fest camping out in Wyoming. So if anyone's interested in that, you should definitely just Google High Plains Roundup and find out what the accommodations are and what you can do to go out there. It sounds like it's a good time. My other mention tonight was, of course, it's 9/11, and this is a hard anniversary for a lot of us. I have an interesting story. We have a ham into FJD, and his name is James Felling. And I love being friends with James on Facebook. And he lost his brother, a firefighter, as well as James is a retired firefighter, but he lost his brother Lee 18 years ago. And he's always very passionate about sharing the story of his brother and his other firefighter brothers that he lost that day. And James, I just want to say this is for you and your brother Lee. And that was a hard loss. And we thank you all for your service. And we just never forget that day. I mean, but Don, do you have any words?
Yeah, it's a hard day. Like everybody else, I remember exactly where I was when I heard. I was not, thankfully, on the air at a radio station that day. But yeah, so, I'm wearing the USA shirt. I always fly the flag. And it's important to remember those who, the civilians who lost their lives, but of course, the others, the first responders who ran into the buildings, knowing that, especially after the first tower went down, they ran into the other tower knowing that it was probably going to come down as well. And that's what heroes do. So as long as we remember them, they'll never be gone.
There you go. Bob, any words you'd like to say?
Well, I was in our kitchen, and Sarah was preparing breakfast, and she yelled, she says, "Look, there's a terrorist. Look." And I said, "No." "Yeah." And of course, in a couple of minutes, Katie Curry came on strong, and she told us that, yep, they think it's going to be a terrorist attack, and it was. But I think about the fact that the kids today that are starting in college were not around then, or maybe be 1 year old. That's something to think about. Man, a whole generation ago, because it only seemed like about 3 or 4 days ago. It's always with me. I think about it a lot, because I have a lot of guys that I work with in the sound industry and in the RF industry, and they were there. So we all need to really pray for those families that are left and those that have gone. So they gave their heart and soul, and you're right, Don. They were real heroes. So
yeah, my son Tyler was just shy of 2 years old. He was 3 months shy of 2 years old when that happened, and now seeing what a young man he has become, he'll be 20 in January. It puts the time in perspective. It's hard to believe that it's been 18 years since that happened.
Yeah. Any words, George?
Just that it was a tragic event. It was almost unreal when I heard about it and flipped on the TV to see what was going on. You wouldn't think something like that could happen in this country, and it did. Very tragic. My heart goes out to everyone who lost their life there at the World Trade Center and the people on all the flights as well. Very difficult situation. One thing I will say, and I don't want to say it's positive, although it is, but when that event happened, it really drew this country together like it had not been together in years, and has not been since, in my opinion. All Americans kind of band together, and we were all mourning and concerned about our country and the people here like we had not been in a long time. And, that's one thing that really sticks in my memory about it.
Absolutely.
George, that's a great point. I saw something on Facebook, in fact, this morning that has stuck with me all day, and your remarks just now brought it back to me. Somebody posted something on Facebook that they want to go back to the world that we had on September 12th, because on September 12th, we weren't black and white. We weren't Republican and Democrat. We weren't on this side or the other side. We were just Americans, and we were all together, and we were all one people. And it's a shame that we're so divided over so many things now. And I thought that was a very poignant post. Let's go back to the way we were on September 12th, 2001.
Amen.
We were all together as one, as Americans.
Absolutely.
I wish we could.
And the other thing that it brought along was a lot of other radio changes. Obviously, a lot of us know that communications went down, and there was no unified command. Nobody knew what anyone else was doing. It was really hard to talk between each other, and that brought along the mandatory DTR system as well as ICS, your incident command system. So good things came out of it, even though we didn't need that to make our new system. But yeah. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Don't forget our nets. We have it on 20 meters, 14, 268. Try 40 on 7192 D-Star, 14 Charlie, and we have DMR on 31012. So with that, Bob, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, well, it's been a great show tonight. I'm glad I was able to stick around. Glad my internet stuck with us. I have a brand new internet cable here, and I told them all along, the cable's bad. No, the cable's not. Well, it was. They only changed the cable. We did everything else, modems and switchers. That didn't work, so we're happy about that. I think we'll be able to hold it here in Belleville, so we'll continue on. I do hope. We'll see all of you next week right back here, and get on and work Route 66. It's a fun event. You just pile in, see what you come of it. It's quite fun. 7-3, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week on the Twit Network. Thanks to Leo Laporte. Thanks to Victor and all of the people in the chat room and people that watch this event worldwide. Thanks so much. 7-3. Bye-bye for now.